as well. It comes from Robert Fulghum, tells the story of Alexander Papaderos. Papaderos grew up in poverty in war-torn Crete after World War II, or during World War II. As an adult, he became an incredibly wealthy man in Europe, but he returned to his homeland to build a beautiful conference center that was dedicated to the work of achieving peace in our world. Robert Fulghum was attending a seminar there, and he wrote about sitting in the huge lecture hall looking at the large windows on either side of this lecture auditorium. Each window looked out at a hillside, and on each hill you could see a graveyard. Interesting image, isn't it? On his left were the graves of the local citizens who were killed in a rebellion against the Nazi soldiers. On his right were the graves of the Nazi soldiers who died in that same conflict. These images served as a constant reminder of the importance of the work that was being done by this institute, working for peace. At the end of the lecture, Mr. Papaderos thanked the audience, and then he asked, as most lecturers do, "Are there any questions?" Fulghum raised his hand. "What's the meaning of life?" he asked. And the audience laughed. They thought he was just being a smart aleck, but Mr. Papaderos told them to sit back down. He said, I'll answer your question. And so he took his wallet out of his hip pocket, and he fished into the leather billfold, and he brought out a small, round mirror about the size of a quarter. "When I was a child during the war," he said, "I came upon a German motorcycle that had been wrecked. There were pieces of the broken side mirror scattered on the ground. I tried to find all the pieces and put them together again, but it wasn't possible. So I kept only the largest piece. And by scratching it on stone, I smoothed it out and I made it round. Oh, we were so poor, I didn't have any toys, so I made a toy out of this little mirror. And I became fascinated by the fact that I could reflect light into dark places where the sun couldn't shine. I could reflect the light with this mirror into the deep holes and crevices and dark closets. It became a game for me to get light into the most inaccessible places I could find. I kept that little mirror," he said, "as I went about my growing up. I would take it out in idle moments and continue the challenge of the game. But as I became a man, I grew to understand that this was not just a child's game, but a metaphor for what I might do with my life. I came to understand that I am not the light, nor am I the source of the light, but light in the form of truth and understanding and knowledge is there, and it will only shine in the dark places if I reflect it. I am a fragment of a mirror whose whole design and shape I do not know. Nevertheless, with what I have, I can reflect light into the dark places of this world, into the dark places of the human heart, and change some things, and change some people. Perhaps others will see and do likewise. This is what I'm about. That is the meaning of my life." And then Fulghum said, "I watched him as he took his small mirror, and holding it carefully, he caught the rays of the daylight streaming in through one of the windows and turned the mirror just so it reflected onto his face and then onto his hands. Jesus said, 'You are the light of the world.' You and I are fragments of a mirror whose whole design and shape remains a mystery. But with what you have, you can reflect the light of God's gracious, healing love into the dark places of this world, into the dark places of the human heart, including your own. And God will be present in and through you and me, reconciling the world to God's goodness and to God's love. It is part of this journey that we take into the mystery. It is based in pure love. It is a calling to which God has made us worthy, and it is the meaning of our life.